Hey guys, welcome to my channel, Elemental Leathers. This is the first video that I'm uploading on the channel, and I wanted to share something simple yet beginner friendly project. Hence, we would be looking into making a keychain ring like this using some of the scrap materials or odd pieces of leather that we may have lying around. And I have some more pieces of the same chrome tanned leather lying around. So I thought of making a quick video sharing how to make something similar and also beginner friendly like this. So let's get started. So I've just cut the required length of leather to make this keychain ring. The shorter one is 1.5 centimeters by 6 centimeters and the longest strip is 1.5 centimeters by 8 inches. But as you can see, it's slightly shorter than 8 inches, but that's nothing to worry about. It's completely fine. So once you have this ready, we can move on to the next step. So for the next step, I will be flipping it over to the back side of the leather and I will be measuring 1 inch on one side of it. So this is where the ring would be placed. So it's completely up to you if you want to slightly shorten it or if you want to keep it at 1 inch, because it's nothing but how much wiggle room you would want to have when you have the ring placed inside of it. So for now, I'm just going to keep it at 1 inch like we just measured. And if you want to shorten it, you can go up to 3/4 of an inch, but I wouldn't suggest going any shorter because the piece that we would be adding on top of it would cause issues if we are going any shorter. So as I've just measured 1 inch, I'm going to take a pen and quickly mark it. Again, I'm just using a pen because it's on the other side of the leather, and since it's a scrap piece of leather and not going to be something that's being seen outside, so it's completely fine. So after this, I would be gluing these two sides together, lining it up with the line that I've just made using the pen. So I'll be using a white glue here, in this case Fevicol MR, to glue the ends. And I don't want to over apply the glue, but just enough to have the ends stick, because I would be stitching to make sure that nothing gets loose ever. And one piece of caution here is if you are using any other sort of glue that dries quickly apart from a white glue, which gives you plenty of time to play around even after applying the glue, is to not forget to add the ring before you stick the ends together. So in this case, let me add the ring and let me line it up with the mark that I've made with my pen. Okay, that's one end and there goes the other. Okay, so I'll place some pressure on this and keep it in place for a few seconds so that the glue dries up. So I've given it a couple of minutes for the glue to dry, and it's not completely dry yet, but it is dry enough to keep the both ends in place, and I think that's completely fine for now. And since it's the functional side of things and this piece of leather is only there for the sake of aesthetics, I would not want to rely completely on the glue to keep this in place. Hence, like I mentioned before, I would be stitching at the end here at the join, and to make it more secure, and post that we will be adding this as a piece of aesthetics to make it more pretty. So let me punch in a couple of holes for the stitches and I'll be right back. So I've just punched 3 holes on either sides where we'll be stitching to give the keychain its strength. and I'm not sure if the camera is able to pick up the punches that I've made. I haven't used a pricking iron, but I've just used a needle that I'd be using to stitch to make these holes. So, and I'll also use a contrasting piece of thread so that it's visible once I'm done with the stitching. So I'll see you guys once I'm done with the stitches. So I've just finished stitching this, and as you can see, it's a simple stitch to hold these two pieces in place, or these two ends in place, so that it doesn't come loose. And I would also suggest you to rough up the edges here on both the sides before you make the stitch, so that the glue has something to hold on to when we are joining this piece of leather with this and covering up the stitches that we have just made, which is the next step. So let me apply some glue on this side of the leather. Again, I'm using the simple white glue, and I'll be a bit generous this time since I would not be applying any glue on this piece. So I've just glued this part, and let's join these two together, and I would want just trying to align it as well as I can, but if you'd want, you can certainly draw lines, and since it's the glue gives me enough time to play around with it, so I would not have to worry too much about trying to align it the first time perfectly. So once I've found the alignment, let me try to gently apply the pressure. So if you are applying too much glue like I did, you might find it leaking out, but you can wipe it off. It's completely fine. So I'll just hold this in place for a couple of minutes until the glue becomes semi-dry and has enough strength to hold its place without me grabbing onto it. So it's been a couple of minutes and the glue is not completely dry yet, but dry enough to keep this piece of leather in place. And for the next step, I'll be punching a couple of holes along this side, evenly spaced, and post that we would be finishing the edge off and we would be done with the keychain ring. So I'll see you after I've stitched this. So I've just finished stitching this up, and I've actually stitched twice just because I like the outcome of it. And let me give you a close-up so that you can see what I mean. So now what's left is to cut the end off and also give it a slight curve so that it looks a bit more pleasing on the eye. So let's do that for now. So I've cut the edge and also rounded the corners, and I'm not going to sand the edges or bevel them because I do not have a beveler yet. And if you have a beveler and you choose to do that, probably a better time would be to do it at the initial stages before we glue these strips together. And that's pretty much it. I hope you liked it, and I hope to see you in my next video. Take care.